Ja, gestern haben wir die Aufgabe 8a und 8b gemacht und wir haben das Verb lassen kennengelernt. Das Verb lassen, das kann in 3 verschiedenen Situationen benutzt werden, das Verb lassen. Und dazu haben wir jetzt eine kleine Präsentation. Das habe ich Ihnen auch gestern ganz kurz gezeigt. Ich habe Ihnen das ganz kurz gezeigt. Zeigen?
Show.
Yeah, I've shown it to you yesterday briefly. Lassen kann man in 3 Situationen kann man lassen benutzen. Zum Beispiel, ich habe mein Auto auf dem Parkplatz gelassen oder lass mich sehen. Ich lasse das Auto reparieren. Ja? Wir haben hier einige Situationen, wo man lassen gebrauchen kann. Und was machen die Leute selbst? Was lassen sie machen? Schreiben sie je 2 Sätze. Schreiben sie je für jede Situation. Je 2 Sätze. Ja. Können wir das kurz mündlich machen? Können Sie zum Beispiel die Sätze entweder schreiben oder sprechen? Die Haare waschen und schneiden. Also zum Beispiel Marian wäscht seine Haare selbst. Aber wie können wir das mit ich sagen? Ich wasche meine Haare selbst, aber ich
Lasse. Mir die Haare schneiden.
Gut, sehr gut. Mir die Haare schneiden. Warum mir, Ismail?
Wherein die Haare ist Akkusativ.
Sehr gut, ja. Because ich lasse was schneiden? Die Haare. Akkusativ. Wem? Mir selbst. Ich lasse mir die Haare schneiden. I let, for me, the hair be cut. Okay, it's a very strange construction in German, but well, it is German. Ist auch korrekt, ist auch richtig. Oder wasch dir die, ich wasche mir die Hände. So, ich wasche meine Haare selbst. Das ist möglich. Ich wasche mir die Haare ist auch möglich. Aber mit lassen ist es besser als reflexiv. In German, this is a book by somebody. What do we use for that by? Zum Beispiel das Schloss. Das Schloss oder der Prozess, das ist ein Roman.
Von.
Noch einmal bitte?
Von.
Gut, sehr gut. Von Franz Kafka. Ja? Der Prozess, das ist ein Roman von Franz Kafka. Ich lasse mir die Haare von dem Friseur. Ist das klar?
Ja, klar.
Ja, aber das ist ein bisschen, wie sagt man, verbös. Normalerweise, wenn ich mir die Haare schneiden lasse, dann gehe ich zum Friseur. Ja, also nicht in der Corona-Zeit, das kann ich nicht. Also ich lasse mir die Haare von meiner Frau schneiden oder von irgendjemandem schneiden. Das ist ja, also das ist nicht schlecht, oder? Meier putzt das Auto selbst, aber er
lässt das Auto reparieren.
lässt, yeah, lässt das Auto reparieren. Now, how would you say she gets the longer emails written by her secretary? Let's say a female secretary, by the female secretary.
Aber sie liest die längeren E-Mails von die Sekretärin schreiben.
On,
Von der
ja,
Sekretärin.
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 Schreiben. Aber sie lässt die längeren E-Mails von der Sekretärin schreiben. Und wir sehen, dass die Satzkonstruktion genauso ist wie bei dem Modalverb. Ist das klar?
Ja.
Mit lassen, mit dem Verb lassen, wir konjugieren das Verb lassen und dieses konjugierte Verb lassen ist am zweiten Platz. The conjugated verb lassen will be in the second place. Und das Hauptverb ist in der Infinitivform am Ende des Satzes. And the main verb is in the infinitive form at the end of the sentence. Okay? Lassen. Ich lasse meine Bücher in der Schule. Ich lasse mein Auto auf dem Parkplatz. Genauso. Ich lasse meine Bücher in der Schule. Die Bücher bleiben in der Schule. Ich nehme sie nicht mit nach Hause. Das ist die Bedeutung. That's the meaning of lassen. To leave something behind. Okay. Here steht lassen allein. Lassen is the only verb in the sentence. Okay. It's not an auxiliary verb or it's not, das ist kein Hilfsverb hier. Lassen steht allein. Dann in der zweiten Situation, ich lasse einen Anzug machen. Genauso wie Herr Meier lässt das Auto reparieren und Marian lässt die Haare schneiden. Ich lasse einen Anzug machen. Was ist ein Anzug?
Suit.
A suit, ja. Anzug machen. Ich mache ihn nicht selbst. Den Anzug mache ich nicht selbst, sondern eine andere Person muss ihn für mich machen. Ja? Wie heißt diese andere Person?
Der Schneider.
Der Schneider, sehr gut. Der Schneider ist Taylor. Ich mache ihn nicht selbst, sondern eine andere Person muss ihn, den Anzug, für mich machen. Das haben wir gelernt, ja? We just learned this usage. Then the third usage is die Eltern lassen ihr Kind ins Kino gehen. Das heißt, die Kinder wollen ins Kino gehen und die Eltern erlauben es. Erlauben?
Allow.
To allow.
Permission.
Ja, to permit, to allow. Gut. Und die Eltern erlauben es. Das ist die dritte Bedeutung von dem Verb lassen. Die Eltern lassen ihr Kind ins Kino gehen. In the first instance, lassen is the only verb. It's not an auxiliary or helping verb. And in the other two instances, lassen is an auxiliary verb. And we can see that it is functioning like a modal verb.
So, small doubt.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to translate the sentence, I let the child be taken care of. So I translated it as, ich lasse mich das Kind kümmern.
Nein. You are letting the child be taken care of, right?
Yes.
So when do we use the reflexive? Anyone? It's not a question to Kishore alone. Okay. When do we use the reflexive form? What is the
When
basic?
the subject is the object. When the subject is the object of the verb.
Yeah, Aditya, once again.
When the subject itself is the object of the verb is on which the action is being performed.
Correct. So when the subject itself is one of the objects of the verb, then we are in the vicinity of the reflexive. Ich lasse. Now, why are you using the mich? Because I let the child be taken care of.
So isn't sich kümmern, shouldn't the sich always be there, or is it just a...
No. Ich kümmere mich das Kind is different. I take care of the child is different. Okay, one second. I take care of the child would be ich kümmere mich das Kind. That is different. Okay. Now, so here, this is a different construction. I'm not really the person to be performing the action. Okay. My action is only lassen.
Okay.
Okay. And that is not reflexive because my action of lassen has the direct object, das Kind. So in this instance, I will not need the mich.
So just ich lasse das Kind.
Yeah,
Ich
then
lasse
das
das Kind
you
kümmern.
have to change the verb also. Ich lasse das Kind von der. Then I'm changing the verb because then I get into a difficulty in using sich kümmern because sich kümmern primarily means that I'm going to be or used in the sense of I'm going to be taking care of the child.
So if I say ich lasse mich, then it would be I let myself take care of the child.
No, don't get into all these muddles.
Okay.
Okay, don't let yourself get muddled up into all this. Let's just keep it to simple straight sentence now, because otherwise the possibilities are infinite. No?
So can I use aufpassen instead of kümmern here? Like I let the child be taken care of.
Is also ich passe auf das Kind auf. That you can say, but you have to use that way. Ich passe auf das Kind auf. Yeah, you can say this.
So the other one would be ich lasse auf das Kind aufpassen.
No.
No.
Ich lasse auf das Kind aufpassen. I wouldn't say that really.
Okay, so stick to betreuen.
Stick to betreuen. Okay.
Okay.
And in case you are in a real life situation where you do this, then you can quickly consult Leo and decide what to say. Okay. Yeah. Any other doubt regarding lassen? Dann machen wir die Übung 2. Beispiel, ich schneide mir die Haare nicht selbst. Ich lasse sie mir schneiden. Ja, ich lasse sie die Haare mir schneiden. Ich rasiere mich nicht selbst. Also wir haben hier, was weiß ich, 5 plus 5, 10 Sätze. Jeder kann einen Satz machen und das dann laut sagen. Wer möchte beginnen? Ich rasiere mich nicht selbst.
Ich rasiere mich nicht selbst. Ich lasse rasieren.
Ja, ich lasse mich rasieren.
Ich lasse mich rasieren. How do you say I am allowing myself to shave? I let myself shave.
Ich lasse mich mir rasieren. If that
No. I mean, why do you want to let yourself allow yourself to shave? In the sense,
doesn't the sentence have two meanings? If I just
no. Ich lasse mich rasieren is I get myself a shave. Ich lasse mich rasieren.
Okay.
So I'm letting myself be shaved. That is why we can go back to the previous slide. The third meaning, to have something done. Ich lasse das Auto reparieren. Does not mean I allow myself to repair the car. I get the car repaired. It's kind of a situation. So, ich lasse mich rasieren does not mean I allow myself to shave. That for some reason I was not allowing myself to shave till
Okay.
now, but now I'm.
So how would you say I allow myself to shave with
Why
lassen
would you
as
say
used in
allow?
the second? I mean,
No,
as a
why would you
hypothetical
say?
sentence.
Why would you say I allow myself to shave? What is the meaning of that?
A person is concerned about his abilities to use a razor, and finally he has the confidence and he wants to allow himself to shave.
There's some sort of a mind-body dualism here. So the mind allows the
To be a
body to
literary thing.
Ich erlaube mich, something like that we can use.
Ich erlaube es mir zu rasieren. I mean, you can really, if you want to be that distanced from yourself that you can, look at yourself with complete detachment in front of you and then say, okay, this particular person now shall pick up the razor and do the needful, then you would need that complicated a construction also, no? You can't simply use lassen for that. I mean, the same confidence which you have with the razor or lack of it, you have to show it with lassen also, okay? No, Kishore, I'm coming back to a little serious matter that this use of lassen should not be considered, it's a reflexive use of lassen, it should not be considered as something that you're allowing yourself to do. It should be considered something that you're getting done by somebody else. That is not the case in the other use of lassen, which is not reflexive, where die Kinder, die Eltern lassen ihr Kind ins Kino gehen. Okay?
Okay.
I mean, die Eltern lassen sich ins Kino gehen is practically senseless in the sense that the parents allow themselves to go to the cinema. I would rather say die Eltern gehen ins Kino. So let the children go to the cinema is a different thing, and I get myself a shave is a different thing.
So, ich mache meine Anzüge nicht selbst. Ich lasse meine Anzüge machen.
Good. Aditya, you're muted, I think.
Yes, I was just reading for myself. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Der Kaufmann bringt mir den Kaffee nicht selbst. Der Kaufmann lässt den Kaffee mir bringen.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, der Kaufmann lässt den Kaffee bringen. That's also enough. Der Kaufmann bringt den Kaffee nicht selbst. Der Kaufmann lässt den Kaffee bringen. That mir can be there, need not be there. Okay. Yeah, Rasika, would you like to go for the next one? Der Herr Braun macht sich den Schrank nicht selbst.
Okay, Herr Braun macht sich den Schrank nicht selbst. Er lässt sich den Schrank machen.
Gut. Er lässt sich den Schrank machen, or simply er lässt den Schrank machen is also enough. Good.
Okay, so could you explain the meaning and usage of the word sich? Because I have never understood it.
Okay. Sich is a reflexive form which is used for third person singular, RZS, and for the big Z, which is the formal U. Up to here, it's okay?
Yes.
Okay, so my question to you is, what is the reflexive form, or how do you understand the word reflexive verbs?
When you say something like, I did this task myself, or he did so and so himself.
No, when you say something like, I did this to myself, that is reflexive. Okay, so when I normally, a verb expresses action, and when I read a book, then the action is happening. I am the doer, and what is being read is the book. You have a classic situation of subject, verb, direct object.
Right.
I read my daughter. a story. I read a story, which is same as our earlier example of subject, verb, direct object, but the story is being read out to someone else. I have an additional indirect object, which is the dative object. Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I am teaching German. Subject, verb, direct object. I am teaching you German. Now you have come in between as an indirect object that's getting affected by my activity of teaching German. Okay, I hope positively. So this is the standard subject-object duality in a sentence. And the object can be either accusative, meaning direct, as in the book, the story, the German language, whatever it is, or it can be dative or indirect, as in my daughter, you, or whatever it is, whoever it is that is being affected. Am I okay till here? Are we okay till here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the reflexive comes into the picture when one of these objects is the same as a subject. Which means if I buy a new car, it's fine. I'm still within the subject-object duality. But let's say I buy myself a new car. I can gift a new car to myself because I won a lottery. I buy myself a new car. Here we are in the realm of the reflexive. Now that myself, the action is still the same, that I'm buying a car, but I'm doing that action. The entity getting affected by that action is me, myself, which is the same as the subject.
Yes, sir.
This is one of the uses of one of the instances of the reflexive. Let's say I hurt myself. I heard something else. I heard somebody else. That is still subject and direct object. Now I fell down and I hurt myself. Now myself, my own, I am the object that I've hurt, the direct object that I've hurt. Again, we are in the realm of the reflexive, except unlike in the first instance, here the reflexive is the direct object. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
In English, we do not need this distinction. We don't need to be aware of this distinction because in English we don't have separate forms for direct and indirect objects. Okay, I see him. Direct object. He is the direct object of my sight. I see him. I give him my book. Indirect object of my giving the book, but still it's him. I don't need separate forms for direct English, but in German I do. Okay. In and ihm. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So without going into that, now that if it's clear what is the reflexive, then in German, when we have an instance of a reflexive verb or a reflexive usage of a verb, then for ich, du, wir, ihr, basically which means the first person and the second person, singular and plural, we use the same forms as the pronoun forms. Mich, dich, uns, euch. The reflexive. Okay, I'll take
Yes,
an
sir.
example. I have to escape from the presentation mode, go to the Word doc and insert a page break. Okay. I hurt myself. Ich. What is to hurt?
Verletzen.
Verletzen. Ich verletze mich. I buy myself car. Ich kaufe mir ein neues Auto. Here, the reflexive is the direct object. So I'm using the accusative form, ich verletze mich. In the second instance, the reflexive is the indirect object. I'm using the dative form, ich kaufe mir ein neues Auto. Are we okay till here?
Yes, sir, got it.
Yeah. Now this happens for ich, du, wir und wir. Okay. They will follow this particular pattern. But he hurts himself. Verletzt sich. She buys herself a new car. Sie kauft sich ein neues Auto. Did you hurt yourself? Haben Sie sich verletzt? As you can see, whether it is he or whether it is she or whether it is you as in आप, the formal you, or it is they, whatever it is, third person, singular plural, and the formal you, and whether it is direct object or indirect object doesn't matter. It is all sich. So sich is the reflexive for third person singular, plural, and for the big Z. So since Rasika, am I audible still? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just to recap, sich is the reflexive form or reflexive pronoun actually for third person singular and plural and for the formal you, and it is used irrespective of whether the reflexive is an accusative object or a dative object, doesn't matter. Can we go back to the presentation?
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, yeah. Then we go back to the PPT. Ja, so Herr Braun, lässt sich den Schrank machen oder lässt den Schrank machen ist fine. Wo sind wir? Who is the next person to go? Is that Neeraj? You're done, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then Neha, next.
Ein Haus bauen wir uns nicht selbst. Wir lassen ein Haus bauen.
Gut, wir lassen ein Haus bauen. Dann haben wir das Beispiel, ich erlaube, dass das Kind im Garten spielt. Das heißt, ich lasse das Kind im Garten spielen. Okay. Die Eltern erlauben, dass die Kinder ins Theater gehen. Pranati? Oh, sorry. Next one is Kishore.
Die Eltern lassen die Kinder ins Theater gehen.
Sehr gut. Next, ich erlaube, dass die Dame auf meinem Platz sitzt. Vibhu? Vibhu, kannst du das hören? Okay, we'll come back to Vibhu. Pranati, can you do the next one?
Ja. Ich lasse den auf meinem Platz sitzen.
Sehr gut. But die Dame.
Dame.
Ja, noch einmal bitte.
Ich lasse die Dame auf meinem Platz sitzen.
Sehr gut. Ja, ich lasse. Also one small observation, when we use the verb, when we say the different forms of the verb lassen, we have to also remember that it's a double S. So which renders the vowel short. Okay, ich lasse. Ich lasse die Dame auf meinem Platz sitzen. Okay?
Ja.
Ja, Vibhu, hörst du uns oder nicht? A sentence? Ja, dann Shraddha. Der Arzt erlaubt, dass Peter aufsteht.
Der Arzt lässt Peter aufstehen.
Gut, der Arzt lässt Peter aufstehen. Wer hat noch nicht gegeben? Rohini, die Eltern erlauben, dass ihre Kinder studieren.
Ja, die Eltern lassen ihre Kinder, ihre Kinder studieren.
Gut, die Eltern lassen ihre Kinder studieren. Und der Lehrer erlaubt, dass die Schüler früher nach Hause gehen.
Der Lehrer lässt die Schüler früher nach Hause gehen.
Sehr gut, ja. Der Lehrer lässt die Schüler früher nach Hause gehen. So just a very quick this thing. I won't take more than 5 minutes for this. Something that we have to learn at some point of time. Präsens. Ich lasse das machen. Ich lasse das Auto reparieren. Perfekt. Ich habe das machen lassen. So if we go back to our er hat das Auto reparieren lassen. Herr Meier hat das Auto selbst geputzt. Yeah, can you see the difference between Herr Meier hat das Auto selbst geputzt und er hat das Auto reparieren lassen? The formal difference between the two, both sentences are in the perfect tense. They're expressing the past, that is, Mr. Meyer cleans the car and has cleaned the car, or cleaned the car last week or whenever it was. And he gets the car repaired and he got the car repaired. Both sentences are in the perfect form, but what is the formal difference between the two?
Es gibt kein Partizip in hat das Auto reparieren lassen.
Correct. Es gibt überhaupt keine Partizipialform oder es gibt überhaupt kein Partizip in dem Perfektsatz mit lassen. Okay, so we are not using the participle form at all if we make the perfect sentence with lassen. That is what you see also here. Perfekt. Ich habe das machen lassen. Okay. Und mit Modalverb. Ich kann das machen lassen oder ich konnte das machen lassen. I can get it done. Ich kann das machen lassen. I could get it done. Ich konnte das machen lassen. Okay. Basically, we will leave it here because please note the conjugation of lassen. And the perfect tense of lassen is hat gelassen. Lassen, lässt, hat gelassen. So, ich habe die Bücher in der Schule gelassen. If lassen is by itself, then of course we use the participle form. I have left the books in the school. Ich habe die Bücher in der Schule gelassen. But otherwise, it is er hat das Auto reparieren lassen. Can we just quickly do the perfect form of er lässt sich die Haare schneiden?
Yeah, may I?
Yeah, please, go ahead. Anyone? I'm not waiting for anyone. Go ahead.
Er hat sich die Haare schneiden lassen.
Little louder, please.
Aber hat sich die Haare schneiden lassen.
Sehr gut. Hat sich die Haare schneiden lassen. Sie lässt die längeren E-Mails von der Sekretärin schreiben.
Sie hat die längeren E-Mails von der Sekretärin schreiben lassen.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is enough as an example.
This lesson is about Reisen, Urlaub und Reisen, right? So related to that, we will learn how to talk about Reisen and how you could write a blog about Reisen and also a letter, informal letter. So at Bayern's niveau. So with from this lesson, we are going to put together the grammar you have learned and the topic, Reisen und Urlaub. So this is, yesterday we have done this Vorleben und Abneigen. So you would use that, es ist mir langweilig oder es ist mir anstrengend, ein Urlaub, alles zum Thema Reisen und Urlaub. Yeah? So here you are making yourself up to Bayern's level speaking and writing. The first one would be speaking. So how would you talk about Urlaub? Generally, if you are in the company of other people, you would say the topic is about Reisen. You would say what you like, how you want your Urlaub to be. It could be ich reise gerne alleine oder ich reise gerne mit meiner Familie zusammen. Or ich reise gerne mit Freunden, weil wir Abenteuer haben könnten oder so you can use weil da or then, those kind of things what you have learned before, and say why you would want to travel alleine or with the family or with Freunden. So you would say 2-3 sentences why you prefer. Vorleben and what are your preferences and why you prefer that. And then you will come to the common topic like Gewohnheiten im Heimatland. Every country has different Einstellung or attitude towards holidays. No? So previously my generation, at least from Andhra Pradesh, how is it in our country or in our place? 1 or 2 sentences. Yeah. So what do we have seen here? The general trend is or normalerweise reist man mit der Familie or something like that. Yeah? Or heutzutage, nowadays it is usual. Heutzutage ist es üblich. Ja? Für viele Leute mit viele jungen Leute mit Freunden ins Ausland zu reisen or something like that. Yeah? Oder einen Ausflug zu machen, something like that. Yeah? So that is also, you are using these things and saying maximum 2 or 3 sentences. Yeah? So this is just a beginning of equipping yourself to talk about a topic in a structured way. First personal thing, then in the country. Then you are talking about Vorteile, Nachteile. What is Vorteile, Nachteile?
Pros and cons, disadvantages.
Yeah, so pros and cons, positive things and negative things. Yeah? So about Reisen kostet viel Geld, if you want to say Nachteile, oder Reisen hilft Stress abzubauen, oder Reisen erweitert Horizonte und Begegnungen mit neuen Kulturen. So the words you have learned in this lesson, try to use them. Yesterday we learned the Begegnen, yeah, and the Zukunftsstruktion and all that, and Abenteuer zu erleben. So you can say your personal thing, that also probably one foretile and one nachtile. It need not be, whatever immediately comes to you, one advantage of traveling and one what you feel could be the disadvantage. Yeah. But you can also say, if I travel with my family, I have to do whatever they are doing. So you can, even this foretile and nachtile need not be just about Reise. It can be, if it is with your friends, you can do whatever you want without restrictions. So that is the advantage of with friends. But you would also like to go with your parents, but there will be a slight disadvantage of, So that kind of thing also it can be. So maximum 2 sentences. It is either with whom you go or about Reise. Yeah? Or you would like to just sit at home and relax. That can be. So that is helping towards talking about the topic, and this is what it should be. It should be a structure, and and then this will be these are the things that you are revising in this lesson. That is the Kartsvai. Würde, wäre, hätte, ich hätte gerne Zeit für dich, oder es wäre schön. So you are talking about Reisen. So you would use these kind of things in future. So you can use the grammar that you have learned. So this is just a super fast revision of the sentence structure. Then you will move forward to a little more talking by using these things. That is, eine, Reise, Ziel. 3 things you are talking after that. That is Reise, Ziel. Was das dir besonders gefallen hat und warum? Those things you are talking. So you can use there again what you have already, So little bit of perfect revision also here, what you have learned in Kartsvai. Previously, till which Reise was besonders and warum. And then wie soll dein idealer Reisepartner sein? Partnerin. So you can use one of these sentences. Just one sentence you can say, es wäre schön, oder entscheidend ist für mich, oder meiner Meinung nach, according to my opinion. So here, when you come to B1's level, you are using this kind of, Reden, like meiner Meinung nach, according to my opinion, or entscheidend ist das für mich. It is decisive for me. Yeah. So these kind of small things slowly we can build up. And then you are saying one sentence about beschreibe deinen idealen Urlaubstag. So ich lasse alles so sein, wie es ist, oder ich finde es besonders wichtig. Ich lasse mich gerne mal verwöhnen, or whatever. One sentence about maximum 2 sentences, idealen Urlaubstag. So this is all about talking about the Urlaub. And then there is this blog schreiben. This will be as homework, but we can have a short discussion in the class for 3-4 minutes. So you after there is a lot of Reiseberichte, that is anybody who travels, they have this travel log and all that. So you will have an impulse, like somebody has written and I have put it there. You will read it and you will write on your own. That is some Selbstlernen. So at home, you can practice writing around 80 words. Around 80 words. About what is your opinion. So this is her experience and her opinion. So you will start your blog by saying, okay, what you say is probably I'll give those sentences, 2-3 sentences that you can start with. that I agree to what you say, or I am of the same opinion. Ich bin gleicher Meinung, or ich stimme zu. Like 2 sentences I will give. You will just say one sentence comment to her, and then you will write about your own opinions about Reise. Yeah? So that should be about 80 sentences, and that is for you to work at home. So you will ask if you need any help, and 5 minutes we can look at it and think of possible sentences. Another thing is you will also practice writing a letter according to this theme. So this is the context. You have just come from a urlaub, and this is there. Tomorrow we will read. So in the letter, your letter also is supposed to be 80 Wörter, circa 80 Wörter. So in the letter, you are going to write in perfect tense because you have just come from a holiday. So we were there Urlaub. Wo und wie lange und was hat Ihnen besonders gefallen? So you are describing your using the perfect you have learned, describing your recent Urlaub, and then you are ending the letter with machen Sie einen Vorschlag für einen Ausflug am kommenden Wochenende. You want to meet him and go on a short trip. It can be 1 day or a few hours. So there you are writing what is going to happen in the future. So whether once you come to B1 level, you have to show that the tempus formans in the klar. You know how to talk about things that have that are over, and you know how to write about things that are going to happen. Yeah. So that klare Unterschied muss vorkommen. So that has to come. So that is the letter writing. So with that we will wrap up this topic. Yeah, we have done this topic, so we have to develop the skills of speaking, writing, blog writing, and letter writing. All these 3 things to this. Yeah? So we'll do this after you read the laser text also, so that you have vocabulary. Yeah.
Okay. Ja, so then you can stop sharing. So am wichtigsten ist es, dass Sie lernen, sich zu einem Thema auszudrücken, to express oneself about a topic, about a theme, and basically the two forms that we are planning to do are slightly different. I mean, writing a blog and writing a letter, slightly different forms from each other, but the basic vocabulary and the use of, as Shashirika pointed out, the clear distinction in our mind about the tenses. And primarily we're talking about the present tense and the perfect tense. So we have learned the present tense to express the present and the future, and the perfect tense to express the past. Plus the past tense of a few verbs like sein and haben, and the modal verbs konnte, musste, etc. Okay. So, but that we will do tomorrow, and or in the next class, and we will finish today's class here. Any questions, any doubts that are remaining from whatever we did today? Primarily we did the verb lassen and its different forms or its different usages. Is there any residual doubt about that? But you can also, of course, go back to that and come back with questions tomorrow if there are any, or in the next class if there are any. With that, vielen Dank für heute und auf Wiedersehen bis morgen. This is the end of the class, okay, formal class. Tschüss, vielen Dank.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen, bis morgen.